Welcome. As some of you know, if you've been following this channel, I've been on a long journey experimenting with making my own plate designs. And I came up with this that I actually really like. I tried different clays, I tried different glazes, I tried different variations of the patterns on the flange and my little swirly design in the middle. I like this one. The only thing is, it is a little bit on the heavy side. Personally, I'm fine. It is a stoneware plate. But some of the people using them said, oh, they would like them a little bit lighter. So in my last video, I showed you how I did some experiments trying to make them lighter and came up with two other variations. So today we're going to look at the result. My starting point when I was trying to make my own plates was this rather dull, in my opinion, plate from IKEA. It's just a boring white, probably porcelain plate. There's a couple of things I don't like about it. First of all, it's just white, boring. I like something a little more flashy, a little more personal. And the other thing is, there's a huge flange on these ones. And you don't really need that. I mean, it's only the inside where you put the food. So I wanted a plate that was still a big dinner plate, enough to have a lot of food on it, but with a smaller flange. So that's what I made with these ones, where I have a much smaller flange that doesn't take up so much space when you put it in the cabinet. I still wanted them to be able to stack well, and I did that by having this flange just move out a little bit. So now when you, put them together, they actually stack really well and take up very little space in my cabinet. There is actually also, even though this is an industrial product, it should be perfect, there is actually a small mistake that IKEA apparently made. I don't know if you can see it. If you look up closely, you can see that there's actually cutlery mark. These ones have been used for a long time, okay, but they shouldn't leave cutlery mark. And as far as I know, I'm not a chemist or expert in glazes, but as far as I understand, the problem is if the glaze is too hard, if it's so hard that it actually grinds your cutlery, that will leave cutlery mark. And I think that's something you should avoid because it do make the plate look a little bit dirty over time. So I want to create something that I think looks better and function well. And I do think that this plate design serves that purpose. I personally think it's beautiful. And I also like this black clay that I'm using. So I'm only glazing it on the inside where you have the food. On the outside, it's not glazed. But because this clay is super smooth, it's just nice, good for you. But as I said, they came out a little bit on the heavy side. But let's take a look at how much heavier they are, because this was the starting point. And in fact, even though it looks like the white one is much bigger, this one actually have a bigger area for the food. In here, it's about 21 centimeter, and on the IKEA one, it's only 19. So you actually have more space for your food on the smaller plate. But let's take a look and see how much it weighs. It's a little bit difficult to measure the weight of the plates because if you put them on your scale, they probably cover up the reading. So I'm using this glass to sort of raise it. So let me just reset the scale with my pole here. So now it's 0 grams. When I put the IKEA plate on it, it's 794 grams. So if we compare that to my original plate, the first one I did, it's 872 grams. So almost 100 grams more heavy than the IKEA one, which is actually not that much, considering the fact that it is industrially made, and mine is handmade, of course. When I first had to make the plates, I had no idea how much clay to use. So I was looking up in different traditional potters' tables, and some of them suggested using up to 2.8 kilo for a dinner plate. And I was like, that is way too much. So the first one I tried was 1.6 kilo. That was too heavy in my opinion. So then 1.5, 1.4, and I ended up with 1.3 kilo of clay. Of course, when you see the final plate, it's lots lighter because there's some water in it, evaporates. I do some trimming, not that much actually. I just trim the corner a little bit, but still we end up with this almost 800 grams of plate. So a lot of it evaporates. But then in my new testing, when I wanted to make them lighter, I tried, instead of using 1300 grams of clay as a starting point, I tried with 1150 and 1000. So let's take a look and see how that turns out in the end. So again, the IKEA plate is 794, so that is our base mark. The 1150 plate turned out 776. So that's actually a few grams, 20 grams or something, lighter than the IKEA one. But then take a look at the one where I started out with only 1000 grams of clay. And it's actually equally nice. I mean, it's got out a little bit lighter with the glaze, but that's just because I didn't give it as much. But let's see how much that weighed. That's only 655 grams. So that's almost 200 grams lighter than the IKEA. And you can feel it. I mean, this feels much lighter. And it still have all the qualities of a rigid plate. So I think moving forward, I will make these plates in 1000 grams or 1100 grams. It is a little more fragile. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's a little more difficult to make the flange perfect. And I think actually I like the 1150 more. But I mean, it's going to be probably somewhere between 1000 and 1100 grams of clay as a starting point. When you make your own plates, it all depends, of course, on the size of your plate, how much you trim them, the kind of clay that you're using, and how you fire it. So you have to do your own experiments. But at least in my experience, I think it's a good starting point with somewhere between 1000 and 1300 grams for the plates. That's all I had today. It was a short video, but important nevertheless in the journey of designing. And designing pottery is not just like one step. You don't just sit down by the wheel and do perfect, whatever pot you want to make. You make some, you try it out, you try different clays, you try different glazes, you try different sizes, you try different weights. And hopefully over time, this has taken me almost a year now. I'm not working full time, but still it's a lot of time. But I end up with something that is truly unique, that is my design and that I like, which is important. Of course, I also like my customers to like it, but first I have to like it myself. And I think this turned out nice. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I will have another video coming up next week, Sunday at 5 p.m. Central European Time, usually. If you like this, please subscribe, share, make a comment if you like, and I hope to see you soon again. Have a great day.